Hi everyone, Aiden here at the etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install these Glacier Chain cable snow tire chains on our 2023 Subaru Outback. And this is going to be on tire size 225, 60, R18. These chains do fit a variety of different tire sizes, but do plug in your tire information into our fit guide and make sure that these will work for your tire size or find the right kit for you. Let's check them out. Now when it comes to tire chains on your Subaru, the owner's manual does tend to steer away from tire chains and doesn't explicitly recommend using them. It does say though that if an assisted traction device is needed to be used, that it be SAE Class S certified. And what that means is that it's just going to be approved for situations with limited wheel well clearance, like this. And luckily our cable chain today it's very low profile and shouldn't be making contact with things like the wheel well or any suspension components around back. This is going to be a ladder pattern style, and what that means is these sections of cable are just running perpendicular across the tire in this sort of ladder shape. That's going to be good for giving us traction on starts and stops, but be a little bit bumpier overall just because there are these sections of tire that have no contact on the road and these sections that do, so you're going to be changing height levels pretty frequently. With that being said though, it is still a very low profile chain, so I don't expect it to be too aggressive. Rather than using a traditional chain like you might expect on some tire chains, this is a cable, which it's pretty much just a steel cable with these low carbon steel rollers over top of that cable to give it a little bit more bite. This is going to be, again, not very aggressive, so better for light snow and just giving you traction in kind of light duty situations. If you need something with a bit more bite, maybe better for icy conditions, a traditional chain is always going to do better, especially something like a square link chain. The low carbon steel construction here is definitely not going to be the nicest, more susceptible to rust and corrosion over time and maybe just breaking because that low carbon steel is a softer material compared to something like a manganese nickel alloy. This is a manual tensioning chain, which means we recommend getting some sort of supplementary device like this rubber tensioner to pull the slack out of the chain when it's on the tire, because without it you get a pretty loose fit and I wouldn't recommend it driving down the road. There is some adjustment built into these cables down at the bottom. There's a series of studs and catch plates that you can tighten or loosen, which does give you some variability to fit different tire sizes and find the right fit for you. But it's not the greatest system and it doesn't allow for that fine tuning and it doesn't pull out all of the slack. With that being said, all of the excess that's left over is somewhat secured with this catch plate here, but as we're driving around, I'd be a little cautious of it just because it does move pretty freely, and especially around back with our suspension components, I'd be a bit mindful of that driving down the road. The cables do come in a pair and they come with this carrying bag that you can store them in. It's a pretty small bag though, and rolling these cable style chains back up into this small of a bag from experience typically doesn't go super well. It's just hard to get them rolled up tightly to fit back in here, and it's a pretty low quality bag. This one already has some tears right here at the edge, so I'm not confident that it's going to last super long. Something like a plastic tote would definitely do better and hold up better to the elements when you're using these. Overall, they're going to be a fine job. If you need something just to have some extra traction and a safety measure, they'll do. There's nicer options out there from Koenig and Titan Chain and P-Wag that are assisted or self-tensioning that I would strongly recommend. But if you just need something to get the job done, this will do, and it's nice to have it just in case of emergencies. The installation process isn't the simplest, but we'll walk you through it now. To begin the installation, you want to lay out the cables and make sure that nothing's tangled up. These ones actually shipped pretty okay and I didn't have any problems with tangles, but lay them out and make sure you have the proper orientation. That's also going to be pretty easy to do. On these cross sections that connect to the outer cable, there's going to be a smoother side, and etched into there it's going to say tire side. We're going to have that face down for our installation today because we're going to drape the chain over the tire. If you're choosing to drive onto the cable and make your connections up top, then have it where it's face up, again, just so it touches the tire side whenever you hook it up. We can then grab the cable in the middle and carefully drape it over the tire, making sure to try to not hit the vehicle or the wheel of the car. You can adjust it kind of side to side here The rollers make it really easy to do because they kind of want to move a little bit. So get it even and go around back to make your first connection. It's going to be pretty hard to do back here, but I'll do my best to show you. This section has a series of studs, and this part here closest to me has a catch plate. Just feed those studs through the catch plate as far as you need to. We always recommend trying this out in your driveway once or twice just to get a feel for it and find the right fit for your tire. For now, it's seeming like it's going to be pretty loose, so I'm going to go pretty far in for this first round, but I might need to come back here later and loosen it up and make further adjustments depending on how things fit up front. Once you're happy with it, there is a bit of a keeper plate further back here to tie up this excess, make sure it's not flying around hitting suspension components when we go down the road. And out front, we can repeat the same exact steps with the studs and catch plate. You can probably see it a whole lot better here, and I know I can get my hands on it a lot easier here. Tighten it up, secure the excess, and at this point, we've got a fairly good fit, but we always recommend using a rubber tensioner. You can scroll down into the related products on this page and find one of those. That's going to draw up all this excess slack. With the rubber tensioner, make sure you hook it up in a star-shaped pattern, trying to go relatively evenly around the tire chain. And we always recommend using these just because it's that added layer of security for a manual tensioning chain like this. And without it, you really don't have much securing it onto the tire, keeping it nice and tight. After this, we can install the other side, drive over them a few times, and come out and check on them. Things tend to settle in once the tire starts moving, and in some cases, things might loosen up a bit once things move around a bit. So you may need to go back to these studs and tighten things up a little bit more, go one stud further, but once you've done those adjustments, if need be, you can hit the road. And that'll do it for our look at an installation of the Glacier Chain Cable Snow Tire Chains on our 2023 Subaru Outback. Thanks for watching.